What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're here for career mode, finally. Every day is a new excuse, isn't it? But hopefully now we are sorted. We're ready to go. My sim rig is pretty much finished now, and I'm ready to make videos more regularly. Anyway, daily problems of the team.
How do you want us to deal with this one?
How do you want me to deal with it? I want you lot to deal with it for a change. That would be nice. So we're going to splash the cash. We will get some resource points because of that. And, yeah, makes sense. Got to spend money to make money.
Thanks. I know these kinds of decisions can be challenging, but I think you made the right call.
The only alternative was to do nothing. So, yeah, we're going to take the resource points for a small financial cost. And speaking of financials, we've got some financial stuff to sort out in the way of sponsorship for the second half of the season. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to renegotiate some terms, I think. The initial sponsors that I did sign at the start of this career mode were a little bit safe, and I think that represented, you know, where we stood in the field. We have moved on slightly, so I'm going to try and push for something that's both attainable but also beneficial for us in terms of bringing in money. And it turns out we can't really get too much better. We're going to stick with Zaynetto, answer 2 interview questions over the course of the weekend. Easy as pie. But the other one, what was the other one we had to do? It was 30 laps of completed laps over the course of a weekend. That was too easy and too low of an income boost for us. So we're going to change it up and we're going to go for Sunburst this time around. And they want us to complete a clean race. They want either me to not corner cut, to not make contact with anything over the course of the weekend, and we'll get the bonus, or my teammate Dan Tictum. Yeah, we're never getting that sponsor bonus, are we? Anyway, moving on to the upgrades, and we have 1,500 resource points to spend, virtue of the bonus 500 or so we got at the start of this episode, so that is absolutely lovely. We're going to go for a major rear downforce upgrade. I know that there's been some people complaining in the comments that I haven't gone for the drag reduction upgrade, which is very, very cheap, by the way. But the thing is we need to maximize the department. We can only do 1 upgrade per department in the aero side. If we waste the facilities on a very minuscule drag reduction upgrade, we're not going to get anywhere. So we're going for the rear downforce. We are lacking downforce. So by going for that, going aggressive, we're spending extra money, yes, but we're making the car better, faster. So hopefully you guys understand that. I've been doing this for a long time, and I know what works and what I need to put on the car first in order to progress higher up the field in a quicker order. So drag reduction for us isn't going to do anything right now because we're already quite fast in the straight line. We need cornering speed. Anyway, upgrade wise, performance index, we are very, very close to Alfa Romeo now. You can see this is actually the closest we've been to them ever since they overtook us at the Monaco Grand Prix or thereabouts in the performance index. So we're slowly starting to recover ground that we lost at the start of the season. Even though we had a failed major weight redistribution upgrade at the start heading into this race, we did have the major weight reduction upgrade go on in time for the Singapore Grand Prix. So, yeah, we're still not having all things go our way, but still we are making progress and we are slowly turning things around now. So I'm feeling optimistic about the rest of the season, but especially about Season 2, where, you know, we can really throw the budget around. But anyway, it is time for Friday practice here in Singapore. You can see I'm actually struggling to pass the practice programs. This is the fuel efficiency test. I failed the first lap. This second lap here isn't going any better, so I've had to abort it. No, I haven't aborted. I span. So that was game over on that front. Back to the garage. Waited for the session to dry out a little bit. We're doing a race run now. And, well, I can't pass the race run either. I'm hopeless at this game, it seems. But in my defense, it looks like I had some underbody damage over the course of that run. So that's nice to see that maybe that was holding me back. But I guess in reality, we weren't being held back because the time that we did on mediums was good enough to be faster than my teammate by 7/10. So I don't know how I wasn't passing the practice programs. Maybe there was a glitch. Maybe they were asking too much of me in that session because it was just impossible to do anything. So I had to retire from the session with no practice programs passed. I had to do everything in the quick practice programs to get any resource points. So that's a bit worrying for the rest of the weekend, especially since Singapore is one of the most OP circuits on the calendar for the player. So I was coming into here thinking we're going to dominate this. We're going to dominate the back markers in this weekend. But who knows? Alright, here we go. For qualifying, we're going to put Friday practice behind us. And we're going to put our best foot forward. I think, based on our performance against our teammate, we should be okay for qualifying pace. I was running old engine components, so maybe that had a part to play and all that. But we'll have to wait and see. We're just spectating our teammate before we head out there ourselves. We're just seeing what he's up to, really. And seeing if there's anything we can learn. He comes across the line, goes P3. There's only 3 people who have set a time yet, but that's fine. We head out now with about 10 minutes to go in the session. Sliding through turn 1. Actually ran wide there, and somehow we're able to keep the lap. Sliding at turn 3. So that's a couple of tenths there that we've lost by virtue of just maybe rushing the corner in a little bit too much. I was running 55% brake pressure. Brake bias, sorry. Brake pressure with 55%. You wouldn't be stopping the car, mate. Anyway, yeah, I wound the brake bias back to 56% for the second half of the lap, and I think it managed to... it felt a bit nicer on the whole balance of things. But anyway, tried to go out again for the second lap on this same set of tyres. Ran wide at turn 6, I think it is. And that was GG for that run. So back into the pit lane we go. There's 7 minutes to go in the session. If we go out now, it won't be optimal running at the end of the session. So we're just going to wait to the end of the session, and we're going to bolt on a new set of tyres and go from there. So even with our scuffed lap, I'd say, yeah, we will easily be able to pass Tictum. Hopefully we can get Giovinazzi, and if we're really lucky, we might be able to challenge George Russell for that final spot in Q2. So who knows? Here we go for the end of the session. We've waited till the death of the session for the track to really rubber in. Singapore is known for crazy track evolution, if you followed the real sport in real life. But you can see we're up by 5 tenths. We gained 3 of those tenths in the first 3 corners. So we're absolutely flying here in the Singapore Grand Prix through the middle sector now, and we're attacking just that a little bit better. The grip is just so much better than what it was at the start of the session. I've also got my eye in a little bit better, but the difference in grip, it feels like it's crazy. And the time is reflected in that. 7 tenths up as we go through the middle sector split. Heading into sector 3 now. We're nearly a second up as the checkered flag is now out. This might well be my best qualifying lap of the entire season, to be honest. And we're not even there yet. Towards the last few corners now. Stroking it along in 4th gear. I had the car in a really nice flow. Really nice momentum here. You can still see we're picking up time in even the corners that we nailed on our first lap. Through the last corner, and we improve by 1.3 seconds to go into Q2 for what is only one of the first few times this season. P13 on the grid for the Singapore Grand Prix. That right there is the lap of my entire career. That was amazing. That honestly felt incredible. I was really dancing the car on the limit, particularly through Sector 3. I wasn't getting any oversteer. I wasn't getting any understeer. I was literally just dancing the car along at the right limit of grip. It felt amazing. Anyway, Q2 though, I'm not going to lie, I didn't put in a lap that was as good in Q2, and I think you guys can understand that. But that was the attempt right there. We nearly hit the barrier. In fact, I actually think we just scraped it a little bit. The crowd gave a bit of a a bit of a cheer as we did that through the last corner. And we've run wide. Oh, we've given up the lap anyway. So it's going to be P16 for the Singapore Grand Prix. We'll check the race director and see if we were going to be any higher anyway. No, we weren't. We did a 34.6. Kimi Raikkonen's time. The next worst car was a 34.1, I believe. So, yeah, in the end, it didn't matter. The AI's improvement over Session 1 to Session 2 was pretty ridiculous and too high of a mountain for us to climb. So there we go, guys. That has been qualifying for the Singapore Grand Prix. An absolutely worldy lap in Q1. Unable to back it up in Q2 when it mattered. But regardless, it's some good momentum starting to come to our team. I'm starting to really gel with this car. What's that? What is that doing there? That is a 84% wear MGUH that is just chilling in the back of my car. And I can't change it without getting a penalty. What's going on here? Is this a glitch? Is this another glitch? Honestly, at the time, I thought this was a glitch. I was like, how is it just one random component that's fully worn? This is me going back over the footage pre-qualifying, and it turns out I'm the biggest donut in the F1 community because I just changed every component apart from that one. I don't know how that escaped me and how I didn't notice. So, yeah, we're going to take a penalty to change the component because we can't risk it failing on us in the race. The more worn your components are, the higher chance of failures. So, we've got to get it done, but we'll be starting last.
Against the spectacular backdrop of the Singapore skyline, Formula One returns once again to do battle in what tends to become something of an endurance race, with the notorious sauna-like temperatures in the cockpit making for an extremely physically challenging Grand Prix. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Young superstar Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Bottas, Vettel, Charles Leclerc and Perez, Stroll, Norris, Gasly and Esteban Ocon, Tsunoda, Raikkonen, Daniel Ricciardo, they've taken a grid penalty, and Giovinazzi, Sainz, Russell, Daniel Ticktum and Fernando Alonso. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Latifi, Mazepin, Mick Schumacher and Benjamin. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head to trackside for today's race.
In hindsight, I probably should have changed all my engine components. I didn't think I was going to start last when I did the recording at the time because I was only taking one component and I thought other people would have had penalties of their own and I might have been able to sneak into 18th, 19th, 20th or something. But no, that is not the case. And we screwed ourselves over for the second time in this race weekend. It's been a bit of a weird one so far. Qualifying ultimately not ultimately meaning anything. Couldn't pass a practice program on Friday. Let's hope for a clean run here today where the points ultimately matter. This is where we earn the big bucks here in this field. So we're going to start on the mediums. Looks like there's a pretty even split of strategy. I don't want to use the hards. I think the hards are going to be a terrible tire. We might stretch the mediums very deep into this race and then go on to softs. So look out for that to be the ideal strategy as we get this race underway here in Singapore. It looks like a great start up against Nikita Mazepin. He gets a lot of wheel spin on those hard compound tires. We draw alongside each of the Haas cars and you can see we're forcing Mazepin. He got the inside and he's made contact with Carlos Sainz. I had a feeling he was going to charge in there nice and deep, but I had to stay committed on his right-hand side to almost egg him on to dive in there, and that's exactly what he's done. I've gained so many positions by virtue of Mazepin throwing it in there at turn 1. I think Carlos Sainz may have some front wing damage, or at the very least maybe some floor damage, because he did go basically into his side pod. So keep an eye out for Carlos Sainz to be maybe a little bit off the pace in this Grand Prix. He's already, down in the dumps. He had a grid penalty, which has sent him down into the midfield, and looks like his weekend hasn't really kicked off from there. But yeah, good start from us. We got past Russell few corners ago. And now we're lining up our teammate, Mr. Daniel Ticktum. It's very weird when people say Daniel Ticktum. I'm looking at you, Jeff. I'm just used to everyone saying Dan Ticktum. But anyway, we're going to get past Dan here. Are we going to go to the inside? Yes, we are. And he leaves the space pretty nicely there for us to go on through. Dan's still learning how to get up to speed with the car, so he's not ultimately pushing things as hard as what he could do. Sorry about that stoppage and delay. Stoppage in play. I had to scratch my nose. But anyway, we're back to green flag running again. Kimi Räikkönen now fighting with Carlos Sainz, and Carlos Sainz wins that battle. Kimi on the hards. We're going to get past him very quickly. Anyone on hards at the moment just has no pace. They're like 1.2 seconds slower than us at this stage. And as well as that, I think they're dealing with tyre temperature issues. So if we can get past the hard compound tyre runners early, then we're really doing ourselves a favour. Mediums are the best race tyre by far around this racetrack, because the softs don't last very long. It'll be an early stop for the race leaders, and the hards, well, just have no pace for the next 10, maybe 15 laps. So, yeah, we're really in the sweet spot in terms of strategy. Sainz going defensive. We're going to go around his outside as he tries to get past Sonoda. He makes an absolute meal of that corner. We drew alongside in the braking zone, and we have just overtaken a Ferrari on better tyres. How does that work? I'd love to know. But there we go. Carlos Sainz got so caught up with trying to overtake Sonoda that he kind of forgot about us, and we were able to sneak past him. So, yeah, great job from us there. We're now going to see if we can put Sonoda between ourselves and Carlos Sainz. If we can, then we might be able to stay in front of him for the entirety of this race, because Carlos is going to make an early stop round the outside of the AlphaTauri, and that was just too easy. That was crazy. We forced Sonoda to the inside. He was maybe lacking a little bit of confidence on the hards, not being able to fully push those yet. And yeah, we just had supreme grip and we made the most of it. Right around the outside. We're now in P10. As you can see, some of the race leaders or the top teams on their soft compound tyres are diving it in for their early stops. So onto the mediums they go. This now guarantees that they are doing a two-stop in this race, because mediums are not going to go 24 laps in this race. Well, they could, but you'd be risking puncture territory, I reckon. So, yeah, the AI who are stopping early are going to get caught up behind the back markers. So, Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, you saw them coming out of the pit lane there behind the likes of George Russell, Dan Ticktum, Yuki Tsunoda, Kimi Räikkönen on the hards. So, yeah, those running long are really going to help me in this race, I reckon. But we'll talk about those issues as we get there. As you can see now, this is Räikkönen and Dan Ticktum. This is the little train that's really going to help me. So Räikkönen on hards in an Alfa Romeo is decently fast in a straight line. As long as they can keep these guys at bay on the overtaking zones of the circuit, we should be okay. But no, there goes Lewis Hamilton up the inside, down into turn one. I was hoping that the race leaders were going to get stuck here, but that is not the case. At the very least, these hard compound tyre runners will be able to hold up the race leaders just a little bit, and that might help us in this race in terms of getting some points. Because it's one thing, you know, the likes of Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen overtaking back markers, which is fairly easy, but it's another thing for the likes of the Alpines, the Aston Martins, the AlphaTauris to overtake those guys. So we might have a decent shot of getting some points if we can overcut these guys while they're all squabbling with the back markers. And here we go, right on cue. You can see Lewis Hamilton getting around the outside of Yuki Tsunoda. Looks like that high-speed last corner is actually really helping the Mercedes and the Red Bulls to get past the slower cars on their harder compound tyres. But for the time being, the likes of Bottas, Ocon, and Gasly are probably in the driving seat to win this race. Now Hamilton is on my tail here as we're getting towards the back end of our medium compound stint. My goal here is to stretch these to lap 20 and then go straight onto the soft compound tyres. But here goes Lewis Hamilton. I'm going to defend from this guy. because you never know, this might help us later on in the race. We go round his outside. He did have a compromised line into turn 1, but there we go. We get the job done and back into P2 in this race. Here's the replay. You guys have been saying in the comments, I haven't been going aggressive enough at times. I've been letting, the faster teams go through, and by letting the faster teams go through, I'm a little bit more vulnerable to other people that I should be racing. So for this race, I'm going to kick it up a notch and see if I can defend from absolutely everybody, but in a manner that's not going to hold me up too much, hopefully. You can see I'm right on the limit in terms of grip. We're getting towards the end of this stint now. We're past the use-by date, essentially, of these tyres, but we're continuing to squeeze the lemon, and for the time being, it seems to be working. We are still pulling away from Yuki Tsunoda. Somehow, we're able to do that. His tyres are in much better shape now due to the less tyre wear, but just there's much less residual grip on the hards, but somehow we're still making it work. So the mediums by far and away are the best race tyre, and we're really getting everything out of this tyre before we get rid of it in about 4 laps time. There goes Hamilton, but he makes a mistake straight away with a massive lockup, and we managed to clear him underneath in turn 1. So, wow. Right there, I thought I was going to lose my front wing. It was pretty ridiculous. This is the angle. I thought I didn't have the downforce to get underneath him and clear myself, but we just about had enough space to get that done, and we hold on to P2 somehow in this race. Here goes Hamilton once again, around the outside. I've gone in way too deep, and Hamilton, no, he's not going to get me. It might be Bottas. Bottas has gone up into P3, so we need to grab the replay and see what happened here, because he's just come out of nowhere. Hamilton caught up behind me, and Bottas just smashes into the side of him, and he's got front wing damage. So Hamilton getting absolutely screwed. Left, right, and center there. Whack! There goes the end plate. And now Hamilton's chances of winning this race, you have to say, are pretty much over. There goes Bottas on the inside of the hairpin. This is on the very same lap that he made contact with his teammate. So looks like Mercedes might be shooting themselves in the foot in terms of both cars here. Bottas really trying to screw over Mercedes, it seems, as we go around the outside of Bottas like we did to Hamilton, but this time we get a warning for track limits. So that's not ideal. Here comes Bottas again, up the inside into the end of the first sector, and he wasn't able to concretely get the job done. He hesitated a little bit, allowed us to get back up the inside into the next right-hander, and that was position reclaimed for us. Again into the hairpin, and Bottas just can't stop making contact with me. So much so to the point now, I think he's got some front wing damage, and now he's going to box for a new front wing and new tyres. So both Mercedes, in only a matter of 2 laps, have thrown away this race. And it's all Bottas's fault.
Grip is probably dropping due to wear, so don't be too aggressive.
Okay, thank you, Jeff, for stating the absolute obvious. We have been on these tyres for what seems like over an hour now. Or an hour? Is that too dramatic? Maybe it's not. 20 laps around here is an awfully long time. Ocon is now catching up to us on his medium compound tyres. I think he needs to make another stop. He was part of the soft compound tyre brigade, and he finds himself the de facto race leader, with Bottas throwing away the race win, and Gasly might be P2 in this race as well. So into the pit lane we go, and we're going to switch to the soft compound tyres now. So I don't know where we stand in this race, but we might be fighting for a podium or a top 5. We're certainly going to be in the points with Mercedes and the other top teams, I don't know, just making errors or blunders or really struggling to get through the traffic. People are doing 2-stoppers. We've been running our own pace out front. And, yeah, life has been gravy. So we're now going to be on the best tyre. Well, is it the best tyre? We've certainly stretched out the mediums to the point where we can get the softs to the end and hopefully not worry about tyre wear too much. So we're not going to struggle for pace, at least initially. We're going to go for a fastest lap. We're going to follow Charles Leclerc, who currently holds the fastest lap. So if we can keep up with him, we can keep up with anybody. So, yeah, we're just going to go hell for leather for the rest of this race. People in this race
Don't panic just yet, but we've seen a problem at our end. We're looking into it.
People in this race still need to box, and maybe that's cause for concern. There's potentially a problem on the way, but I was so focused on getting this fastest lap that I wasn't even going to look into the issue. I wasn't going to look at the gearbox or the engine. We're just going to press on and pray that nothing happens, because we can't afford to have a DNF in this race when it's looking oh so promising. Anyway, we're looking good for a fastest lap.
Okay, looks like a mechanical failure. We're going to have to ask you to find a safe spot to retire. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're joking. You are honestly joking, Jeff. Let the part explode if it has to. We're on target for a massive result in this race, and we are now out of the Singapore Grand Prix. I can't believe it. You honestly can't write this stuff. We were set for what was potentially going to be our best race of the season. All the top teams were in the mud. Gasly and Ocon were winning this race. That could have been amazing.
Here's our winner pulling their AlphaTauri into Parc Ferme. What a fantastic race. Talk to me, Ants. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Well, when you overtake that many people, I'd certainly hope you'd win the race. Their car was really effective in the slipstream here today, and the team will be pleased that they didn't cook the engine, given how long they were spending in the hot air behind other cars. They had a lot of confidence to push their tyres hard as well, especially going into the corners, which allowed for some late braking and some exciting passes.
And it's time now for the podium celebrations, and how well deserved is this one? This is a team all about giving talented young drivers an opportunity to race and to win. AlphaTauri are your winners here today.
Oh, man. Oh. I don't know what to say. You guys know just as well. You're probably more disappointed than what I am, to be honest, after that race. It's so typical. We did all the hard yards. We started last. We got ourselves, well, up into P2. And we outlasted everyone in terms of tyre wear. We stayed out as long as hard compound runners on mediums. We put the softs on, and the rest of the race was going to be amazing. First flying lap, we go purple in the first sector, and then the engine says no. I don't want any more. I really hope it's not the new part that we chucked in for this race, the part that got us a penalty. That would really upset me. The driver standings, we go nowhere. We don't get overtaken. We don't do any overtaking ourselves. Dan Ticktum didn't have a good race. We stay stationary, but that could have been so much more.
Bad luck today. That must be incredibly disappointing. It looked like your car wasn't 100%. Would you like to comment on that?
Reliability's not been good this season.
You had a bit of a rivalry going on, but it looks like they bested you.
Yeah, have you seen their car? The Aston Martin is like the third best car. I can't compete with that.
You got really unlucky out there today. Who's to blame for that failure?
Codemasters.
Are you happy with your performance today?
Yeah. Drove well.
Great. Well, that's everything.
Honestly, drove really, really well in this race. We really got our elbows out against Mercedes, the team that we definitely didn't think that we'd need to put our elbows up against, but in a way that was probably going to help us in the end. Their misfortunes in the race. We lost the rivalry, we got the DNF, and that nearly sent us back a level in terms of acclaim, which is pretty brutal, but that's the way I'd probably rather have it in this game, to be honest. For so many years now, the game has been too easy, but now it's showing that we're not having it all our own way, and days like today are certainly character building. But yeah, there we go. We finally get some resource points for our failures, which is nice. Thanks, Max. Appreciate that. It's about time we got a reward for our inconvenience. But yeah, we'll be billing Renault for that, I reckon. In terms of this this video, you guys wanted to know what the title was about, and we'll get to that in just a second. But it is the control electronics which failed on us, and that part was around 10% wear, I think. So yeah, it just shows that it's completely random sometimes. But yeah, so unfortunate. We've had, what, 3 DNFs now in terms of reliability at this point. We certainly need to target that for Season 2, because when we've got a better car, these things can't afford to be happening. But here we go. Here are the retirements that you guys have been asking about. It is Kimi Räikkönen, who has announced his retirement. He will not be taking any further part in Formula 1 after this season, a career mode. And there's one more, a little bit more left of field, and that is Fernando Alonso. He's just come back to the sport after his sabbatical, and straight away he's gone, you know what? F1 ate the life for me, and I'm going to peace out. Thank you very much. That one is a bit of a rumor, but it did say in the email that it was a retirement announcement. So Räikkönen and Alonso are going to be gone at the end of the season, and some F2 young guns are going to be coming through the ranks. So I'm excited to see what that means for the driver transfers for Season 2, and whether that opens up a good driver for us to come in. But yeah, that's the episode for today, guys. Apologies we couldn't get to the end. I really wanted to, and if I had the choice, I would absolutely risk the car exploding in order to get to the end for some points. But when the team tells you to stop the car, you must stop the car. That's 3 DNFs for us this season, and with, what, 6 races to go, the odds are that we're probably going to get another DNF. With wearing components, we're really going to stress test those bits of the power unit to their maximum. So there we go. That has been the Grand Prix for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. I didn't enjoy that very much. It was just it was a weird weekend where in every single fragment of the weekend, something just went a bit wrong, and we could never really get into the groove. I thought we were going to get some big points there, but it was cruelly taken away. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys for a brand new video very soon.